In February 2020, a local jogger running along the coastal cliffs of County Cork, Ireland, discovered the aftermath of a severe Atlantic storm. Wedged into the jagged rocks below was a sight that defied the quiet morning landscape. This was the MV Alta, a 250-foot commercial cargo ship. It sat completely empty, no crew on deck, no lifeboats deployed, and not a single soul at the helm of its massive steel frame. Traditional maritime myths focus on rotting wooden schooners, but the Alta is a product of the industrial age. It is a massive steel machine that managed to vanish from the grid, despite our era of satellite tracking and near-constant global connectivity. The mystery lies in how a vessel of this scale could drift aimlessly across the Atlantic Ocean for an entire year without being intercepted or salvaged. Investigating the Alta requires us to look past oceanic folklore and examine the often hidden realities of modern maritime survival and global logistics. 5 months before it struck the Irish coast, the Alta appeared as a silent silhouette in the mid-Atlantic. A British Royal Navy ice patrol ship spotted the vessel drifting, but found it completely deserted. The chain of failures began exactly 1 year earlier, in September 2018. While sailing near Bermuda, the Alta's engines died completely, leaving the ship and its 10-man crew stranded as a hurricane approached their position. The U.S. Coast Guard launched a rescue mission, airdropping emergency rations to the crew before eventually evacuating all 10 sailors as the weather conditions turned life-threatening. Once the crew was safe, the abandoned Alta was reportedly hijacked by unknown thieves, who eventually abandoned the ship for a second time, leaving it to the mercy of the currents. A combination of catastrophic engine failure, hurricane-force winds, and maritime crime created the exact conditions necessary to turn a working merchant ship into a drifting ghost. Every commercial ship carries a digital footprint through the Automatic Identification System, or AIS. This tracking technology maps global shipping lanes in real time, but it can be deactivated with a single switch, making a massive vessel invisible to digital monitors. Shady operators or hijackers often kill the AIS signal intentionally, using the dark zones of the ocean to mask illegal movements or hide the location of a stolen ship. While digital invisibility is a modern tactical choice, the physical reality of massive vessels drifting unattended for decades is a documented historical phenomenon. In 1931, a Canadian trading vessel called the SS Bechimo became trapped in thick pack ice off the coast of Alaska. After a brutal blizzard obscured the view, the crew emerged to find their ship had seemingly vanished into the frozen wasteland. The Bechimo survived the ice, drifting across the Arctic for 38 years. Its story proves that human abandonment, not supernatural forces, sustains these perpetual drifters. These actual derelicts provide the raw material for legends like the Bermuda Triangle. When a vessel is found empty, the public imagination often defaults to supernatural explanations to fill the void. This happened in 1880 with the Ellen Austin. After boarding a drifting, crewless ship, the schooner's own prize crew vanished during a storm. The story became a cornerstone of maritime folklore, despite the high likelihood of a simple drowning at sea. Most disappearances involve mundane, sudden tragedies. Rogue waves can swamp a ship in seconds, or a broken cargo hatch can slowly flood a hull during a storm, leaving no time for a distress signal. We tend to blame time portals or giant squids because accepting that logistical failures and simple human errors can kill so efficiently is a much more chilling prospect. Back in Ireland, the arrival of the Alta has left the local government facing a complex bureaucratic and environmental disaster. Because the ship's true owner cannot be legally identified, the Irish government must cover the €10 million cost required to safely dismantle the rusting hull and remove the toxic waste inside. This reveals a cold economic calculation in modern shipping. For companies operating on the fringes of the law, it is often cheaper to abandon a broken vessel to the ocean currents than to pay for salvage, towing, and repairs. These drifting hulks represent the intersection of economic logistics, loopholes in maritime law, and the desperate decisions made during a crisis at sea. Even in a world of GPS and constant surveillance, The ocean remains vast and wild enough for a 250-foot steel giant to float unseen for thousands of miles, until the tide finally brings it home.